It's 11:47 p.m. You're in bed, scrolling through Zillow again, and you tap on a 3-bedroom listed at $385,000 in a neighborhood you actually like, and your stomach drops. Not because it's expensive, because for a second you thought you could afford it. But then this week, something shifted. Mortgage rates dropped below 6% for the first time in 3.5 years. The internet exploded with headlines saying housing is finally affordable again. So the real question is, did the math actually change? Or is this just another headline designed to make you feel hopeful right before the spreadsheet crushes you? My name is Finn, and I've been crunching these numbers so you don't have to. If this kind of breakdown is what you've been looking for, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every week. No fluff, just numbers that matter. Here's what most people think right now. Mortgage rates dropped, so houses are affordable again. That's the story. That's the headline. And look, I get it. 6% sounds a lot better than 7%. But here's what nobody's telling you. The rate is only one piece of a much bigger equation. The real question isn't what the rate is. The real question is, what salary do you actually need to buy a home in 2026 without destroying your financial life? And the answer to that question is going to surprise a lot of people. Because according to Redfin's latest data, you need to earn $111,252 a year just to afford the typical American home. That's the number, $111,000. And the median household income in this country, $104,200, which means the average American family is still about $7,000 short of comfortably buying the average American home. But here's where it gets interesting, because for the first time in nearly 5 years, that gap is shrinking. And for certain people, in certain cities, the math just flipped in their favor. Before this video is over, I'm going to show you exactly which cities those are and give you a framework that makes buying work at almost any salary. But first, you need to understand why the national picture is still so broken. Because if you skip this part, you'll make the same mistake millions of people are about to make this spring. Let me set the stage for what's happening right now, because there's a lot of noise and very little signal. On February 26th, Freddie Mac reported that the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate dropped to 5.98%. That's the first time it's been below 6% since September of 2022. A year ago, that same rate was 6.76%. Now, why did it drop? Two things happened almost simultaneously. First, back in January, the government directed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. Think of it like the government walking into a car dealership and saying, "We'll buy $200 billion worth of cars." When someone buys that many cars, the dealership can suddenly offer everyone else a better deal. That's basically what happened to mortgage rates. Second, on February 20th, the Supreme Court struck down the emergency tariffs in a 6-3 ruling. That sent investors running toward the safety of Treasury bonds, which pushed yields down, which dragged mortgage rates down with them. So here we are. Rates are lower, headlines are celebrating. But let me show you what this looks like for a real person. Meet Sarah. She's 31, marketing manager in Charlotte, North Carolina. She makes $72,000 a year, which, by the way, is above the national median. She's doing better than most. She's been renting a 1-bedroom apartment for $1,650 a month. She has $28,000 saved for a down payment. She's been waiting, patiently, responsibly, for rates to come down. And now they have. So she opens up Zillow, finds a nice 3-bedroom listed at $385,000 in a decent school district, and she starts running the numbers. And this is the part that should make you a little angry. Because what Sarah is about to discover is that even with rates below 6%, even with $28,000 in savings, even with a salary above the national median, the math still doesn't work the way she was told it would. Let's do the math that nobody in those headlines is doing. Sarah's $385,000 house with her $28,000 down payment. That's about 7.3% down. Not the 20% the textbooks recommend, but let's be real, most first-time buyers aren't putting 20% down. A 20% down payment on the typical home today would be $71,800. That's more than most Americans have in their entire savings account. The median savings for Americans under 35 is around $20,540. So you'd need roughly 3.5 times your entire savings just to clear the cover charge. Think of the down payment like getting into a nightclub. You can pay full price and get the VIP treatment. Lower monthly payments, no PMI, instant equity. Or you can squeeze in through the side door with a smaller down payment, but you're going to pay extra every single month for years. So Sarah goes with 7.3% down. Her loan amount is $357,000. At 5.98% on a 30-year fixed, her principal and interest payment comes to roughly $2,138 a month. But wait, that's just principal and interest. Add property taxes in Charlotte, about $267 a month. Homeowners insurance, roughly $175 a month. And because she's putting less than 20% down, she needs private mortgage insurance, PMI, which adds another $178 a month. Her total monthly housing payment, $2,758. Now let's check that against the 30% rule. Financial experts generally agree that you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your gross income on housing. Sarah makes $72,000 a year, which is $6,000 a month before taxes. 30% of that is $1,800. Her payment is $2,758. That's 46% of her gross income, not 30, 46. And remember, that's gross income. Before taxes, before health insurance, before her 401k contribution. Her actual take-home pay is closer to $4,200 a month, which means her housing payment would eat up nearly 2/3 of the money that lands in her bank account. That's not a budget. That's a hostage situation. Here's what that looks like in real life. It's Sarah choosing between fixing her car and making her mortgage payment on time. It's Sarah saying no to her friend's wedding because the flight and hotel would wreck her budget for 2 months. It's Sarah lying awake at 2 a.m. doing mental math, wondering if she made the biggest mistake of her life, and she's not alone. Think about this for a second. The National Association of Home Builders just published what they call the affordability pyramid, and the data is brutal. 52% of American households, that's 70 million families, cannot afford a $300,000 home. Not a $500,000 home, not a luxury home, a $300,000 home. And the median price of a new home being built in 2026 is around $413,000, which means 65% of households are priced out of the typical new home being built today. That's not a housing market, that's a velvet rope. And the real numbers are actually worse than this, because most affordability calculators only count your mortgage. But the true cost of owning a home has a whole layer of expenses that never show up in those Zillow estimates. Home insurance premiums have skyrocketed. In states like Florida and California, some homeowners have seen their premiums double or even triple since 2020. The national average is now over $2,300 a year, and in disaster-prone states, it can easily hit $5,000 to $8,000. Property taxes vary wildly. In New Jersey, the effective rate is 2.203%. On a $400,000 home, that's nearly $9,000 a year just in taxes. Texas is 1.6%. Hawaii is 0.32%. Same country, completely different math. Then there's maintenance. The general rule is 1 to 2% of your home's value per year for upkeep. On a $400,000 home, that's $4,000 to $8,000 for things like the water heater that dies in February, the roof that starts leaking in April, or the HVAC system that gives up in July. Always July. Add it all up, and the true annual cost of owning a $400,000 home isn't just your mortgage. It's your mortgage plus somewhere between $8,000 and $20,000 in costs that renters never have to think about. This is why some financial planners now argue the safe ceiling isn't 30%, it's 25%. For Sarah, those hidden costs would add another $300 to $400 on top of that $2,758. Her real monthly cost, closer to $3,100. At $72,000 a year, that's over half her gross income going to the house. Okay, I know that's a lot of heavy numbers, but stay with me, because understanding this is what separates people who buy smart from people who buy scared. Now here's the part most people skip over. The reason prices haven't crashed, even though so many people can't afford to buy. It's called the lock-in effect. During the pandemic, millions of Americans locked in mortgage rates between 2.5 and 4%. Those were once-in-a-generation rates. Now, even at 5.98%, selling your home means giving up that old rate and taking on one that's significantly higher. Imagine you own an ice cream shop and your rent is locked at $500 a month. Every shop around you is paying $100 and $200. Would you move? Of course not. You'd stay put even if the shop was too small, even if the neighborhood wasn't great, even if your family needed more space. That's what 30 million homeowners have been doing for 3 years. Sitting tight, not selling, and when nobody sells, supply shrinks. And when supply shrinks, prices stay high even when demand drops. There's a nationwide shortfall of nearly 4 million homes right now, according to Realtor.com. Here's what that means in real terms. It means a young couple in Denver spending 6 months making offers and losing every single one. It means a single dad in Raleigh driving 45 minutes to work because the only homes he can afford are in the next county. It means a teacher in Phoenix whose landlord just raised rent again, who goes on Zillow every night knowing she can't buy, but can't stop looking either. That's the system millions of people are trapped in. I'll get to how to break out of it in a minute. But first, you need to see where the cracks are forming, because this is where the story gets hopeful. Stay with me here because this next part changes everything. The national picture is tough, but real estate isn't national. It's local. And in certain cities, the math just flipped from impossible to doable. Here's what's happening. Remember that lock-in effect? All those homeowners sitting tight because their old rate was too good to give up? It's starting to crack. Slowly, like ice on a spring morning, but it is cracking. The share of homeowners with mortgage rates above 6% has now passed the share of those below 3%. That means a growing number of people can now move without taking a financial hit. The S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index showed that national home prices grew just 1.3% in 2025, the weakest showing since 2011. Half of the 50 largest metro areas saw prices decline year over year. And then there's the buying power shift. According to Zillow's latest analysis, a median income household can now comfortably afford a $331,483 home with 20% down. That's $30,302 more purchasing power than a year ago. Buying power is now at its strongest level since March 2022. If you're still here, you're already ahead of 90% of people who clicked on this video. Hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people who need to see it. Now here's where the data gets really interesting, because the gains aren't spread evenly. Houston leads the country right now. A median income buyer there can afford a home up to $298,000, and there are over 12,000 listings in that price range, up from 8,600 last year. That's almost 4,000 more homes that just became reachable. Phoenix saw affordable inventory jump from 4,500 to nearly 8,000 listings. Dallas went from 7,700 to almost 11,000. Miami added nearly 3,000 more affordable options. Atlanta added 2,300. Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Cleveland are the metros where the typical household can most comfortably afford the median-priced home right now. In Pittsburgh, the median home is well under $220,000. If you're flexible on location, those are the cities where the spreadsheet actually smiles at you. Even in Charlotte, where Sarah is looking, affordable listings grew by over 1,500 compared to last year. The options are expanding. San Jose posted the biggest gain in buying power, nearly $74,000 more than a year ago. San Francisco gained $56,000. Washington, D.C. gained nearly $49,000. Now, the flip side. In Los Angeles, median income buying power is $421,000, but the median home price is north of $900,000. You're not a down payment away from home ownership there. you're an entire career change away. New York and San Francisco are similar stories. But here's what it looks like when the math works in your favor. It's a 29-year-old nurse in Houston who just got the keys to her first condo and cried in the parking lot. It's a couple in Cleveland who stopped fighting about money because they found a 3-bedroom for $195,000 and their mortgage is less than their old rent. It's a remote worker in Dallas who left Brooklyn, bought a house with a yard, and still has money left over for her daughter's college fund. That's not a fantasy. That's happening right now in real cities for real people with real salaries. The difference is they found the places where the math works instead of forcing it where it doesn't. So the question isn't, can I afford a house in 2026? The question is, where can I afford a house in 2026? And the answer to that question might be different from where you expected. So what do you do with all this information? Quick note, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't personalized financial advice. But here's a 5-step framework that the data supports, and it works regardless of where you live or what you earn. Step 1. Know your real number. Not the number Zillow tells you. Not the number your mortgage broker pre-approves you for. They'll approve you for way more than you should spend. Your real number is 25 to 28% of your gross monthly income, including all housing costs, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, PMI, and a maintenance buffer. If your household income is $85,000 a year, your total housing budget should be around $1,770 to $1,283 a month. Work backwards from that to find your actual price range, not your dream range, your math range. Step 2. Explore the geography. The data is crystal clear. Location is the single biggest variable in this entire equation. Redfin's data shows affordability improving in 37 of the 50 largest metros. If remote work is an option, you could be buying in Pittsburgh where the median home is under $220,000, or Cleveland or St. Louis where your income makes you feel wealthy instead of stretched. And even if you can't move states, look one county over, in Charlotte. A first-time buyer can go from completely priced out to comfortable just by shifting their search radius by 15 miles. Step 3. Stack the advantages. First-time buyer. There are over 2,000 down payment assistance programs across the country. FHA loans let you in with 3.5% down and a 580 credit score. In North Carolina alone, the NC Home Advantage program offers up to $15,000 in down payment help. Zillow now shows available assistance programs directly on each listing page. Most buyers don't even know this feature exists. Go look at it tonight. Step 4. Don't time the rate. Time your readiness. Mortgage rates are 5.98% today. They might hit 5.5% by year end. They might bounce back to 6.5. Nobody knows. And honestly, a half-point difference on a $300,000 loan is about $90 a month. That matters, but it's not life-changing. What is life-changing is whether you have your emergency fund intact, 3 to 6 months of expenses after the down payment. If buying a home means draining your entire savings to zero, you're not ready. Because the moment your car breaks down or you need a dental procedure, you're reaching for the credit card. And suddenly your dream home comes with 23% interest on the side. A house is supposed to be financial security, not financial anxiety with a front yard. Step 5. Consider the rent math honestly. This is the step most finance channels will never tell you. In many markets, renting is actually the financially smarter move right now. If your rent is $1,800 and the equivalent mortgage payment would be $2,800, that extra $1,000 a month invested in an index fund averaging 8% annual returns would grow to over $182,000 in 10 years. Homeownership is great, but not at any cost. Run both scenarios. Be honest about which number wins for your situation. Here's the action step. Tonight, before you close this video, open a spreadsheet or even just the Notes app on your phone and do step 1. Calculate your real number. It takes 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes might be the most important financial decision you make this year. Let me bring back Sarah. I want to leave you with 2 versions of her life. Version 1. Sarah sees the headlines about rates dropping below 6% and panics. She's been waiting for years, and she's afraid if she doesn't buy now, she'll miss the window forever. She stretches to buy that $385,000 house in Charlotte. Her payment is 46% of her income. For the first year, she manages. She cuts her retirement contributions. She stops putting money into savings. She says no to trips, dinners, hobbies, all the things that used to make her feel alive. By year 2, the water heater breaks. That's $4,500 she doesn't have. She puts it on a credit card at 23% interest. By year 3, she's house rich and cash poor. She owns a home, but the home owns her. Her friends are traveling, investing, building lives. Sarah is Googling how to lower your mortgage payment at midnight. She lies awake at night doing mental math, and the feeling she has isn't pride, it's dread. Version 2. Sarah sees the same headlines, but instead of reacting, she calculates. She does the 5 steps. She realizes $385,000 is outside her comfort zone. She widens her search. She finds a 2-bedroom townhouse in a developing neighborhood for $265,000. She uses an FHA loan with 3.5% down. That's about $9,300 out of pocket. She qualifies for a state down payment assistance program that covers another $5,000. Her total monthly payment, including the FHA mortgage insurance premium, comes to roughly $1,780, which is about 33% of her income. Not perfect. It's a little above that 30% sweet spot, but manageable. She keeps contributing to her 401k. She maintains her emergency fund. She has a home and she has a life. 2 years later, the neighborhood has appreciated, her equity has grown, and she refinances into an even better rate. The difference between those two Sarahs isn't income, it's not luck, it's not timing, it's math. Honest, boring, spreadsheet math. The kind most people refuse to do, because the emotional pull of home ownership is louder than any calculator. The housing market in 2026 is not fixed. It's not suddenly affordable for everyone. But for the first time in 5 years, the trend line is moving in the right direction. Mortgage rates are falling, home prices are cooling, buying power is increasing, the lock-in effect is thawing. And if you position yourself correctly, if you know your real number, explore your options, and refuse to let FOMO make your biggest financial decision, then this might actually be the year the math starts working for you, but only if you let the math lead. Not the headlines, not the fear. Not the pressure from your parents asking when you're going to stop renting. The numbers don't lie, but they do reward your patience. Drop a comment and tell me, where are you in this journey? Still saving? Just bought? Completely priced out? I read every single one. And if this video changed how you think about buying a home, share it with someone who's been stress scrolling Zillow at midnight. Subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down the $128 trillion credit card trap that's silently drowning American families. And that math is even scarier than this one.